So I think I'm actually going to stick with having a white background. We're going to stick with leaving a black font here too, and maybe we'll play with that later, but we'll leave that for now. And I actually don't need all these other tabs accessible easily, right? Because they're all drilled through. So I can probably just delete this button here too, and we'll leave that there. And then I want to color these ones. So the primary one, I want to have a different color versus the other supporting ones. So I think what we'll do is we'll go to our background color here. We'll go to General. We'll go to Effects. We'll change the background color. And we'll just drop in our color theme that we like here. And now we're going to add some more flavor to this too. So we're going to create a visual border. It's going to be the same color as what we just chose. And I'm going to do rounded corners, probably like a 7. Let's see how that looks. A little bit too tall. So I'll shrink that a little bit, right? And I want to make sure everything's the same height as well. And that's the problem. If you don't have that, then it's going to look weird, right? So I'm going to go here, go to my paintbrush again, go to General, go to Properties. My height's 104. So I'm going to select all of these now. I have my supporting ones. And I'm just going to change the height to 104, but still ensuring that you can still see the full text, right? And then maybe we'll test it out with the white font as well. See how that looks. I think what if we actually change this to a black font and leave that one? Probably not. I think black's probably the safest bet, unless we change it to white and we bold it. That could be a little bit easier on the eyes to see, but I still think black is probably the safest to go here. All right, so I'm going to select all of these now. This is going to be my supporting color. So I'm going to go to my paintbrush, go to General, go to Effects, select my background. And then I'm going to go ahead and select the visual border. I'm going to change it there too. And now you can see it's a little bit hard to see the font for these. So it's probably safest to put a white one here. You can probably make these bold. And if we're going to make that bold, we probably want to make this one bold as well. All right, there we go. One thing we did not do was change the border to have rounded corners. So we're going to do a 7 there. All right, so that's looking pretty good. We can also change the font too if we want to. So we can highlight everything, call out value. We could change it to Calibra, change it to this one. I usually like Arial, so I usually change it to Arial. You can also change it to Calibra if you want. I'm not a huge fan of that one, but I think we'll stick with Arial for the time being. And then we'll decrease the size a little bit just so everything is visible. And we did have this one as a larger font, but we changed it simply because all of these are supporting colors. So off the bat, you're going to have your eyes get glued to this, right? Because it's a different, distinct color than everything else. All right, so let's move on to everything else here. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for this one as well. So I can literally click on Format Painter here and click on this, and I'll just adopt everything, right? So no extra work you have to do. So that's one quick hack for you. All right, and then attrition reason, let's go ahead and click on this one. We're going to format this a little bit, and we probably want to put a background on this one. But what background do we want? Do we want to do this background, or do we want to do the other background? So I think we'll probably stick with this background. Do the visual border again as well. Do the same thing there. Do 7 points just to keep everything uniform a little bit. You can put a shadow if you want to as well. I usually don't put a shadow quite often. And I'm going to go to visual. I'm going to scroll down to bars. Now, if you have different categories, you can always change them as well. But I want to keep all the bars the same color. I'm going to keep it that color there. You can put a border on it too if you want, just to add more depth. I usually don't do that. And then data labels are huge, right? So adding data labels to this is going to be super important because it's going to allow you to see the actual value without hovering over something. because hovering over it's going to be our drill down. So you want to still provide the value, but also depth as you hover over it. So we're going to click on value now. We're going to change the font color to white so you can actually see it. And we're going to increase that size too. We're going to make it bold. We can keep everything Arial if we want. And the problem is right now it's not increasing in size, the font, because it's not large enough. But once I increase this a little bit, it will actually increase the font size. And then my X and Y axis is going to be white font. You can make that bold if you want, or you can just make it a larger font. And same thing for the X as well. And then the attrition reason, going back to title, we'll change that to white as well. And you can underline this if you want to. You can make it bold, Arial, then bold. Don't like the Arial bold, so I'll just leave that there. I'll increase the size. And there we have attrition reason. And then one more thing I like to do with my data labels is I like to put a format behind it. So I go to visual, I go to background and turn that on. And now I have something behind it, right? So I could change the transparency color and it makes it pop a little bit more. So it's super distinct, super visible, easy, right? Okay, so now let's work on the turbulence one. So what we want to do here is go to paintbrush and let's turn on the data labels first. So do we want the data labels on for everything or just some of them? That's going to be a key thing to put here. So probably the total hires, I'll go ahead and turn this off. The total losses, I'll go ahead and turn this off. And then now I just have it on for projected personnel. So now what I'm going to do is determine, do I want to make the background this color too, or do I want to make it the same as this color? So you want to add a little bit more flavor to it and have two areas of interest, or do you want to just keep it as one? Because if we did two, what would it then do is advise the user that's looking at the product to be like, okay, these are the two distinct ones. So I should probably look at this and look at this because they go hand in hand, right? Or do we want to direct them somewhere else? And that's kind of how I look at a product is if I want to saturate something with color and make them more distinct, I want to probably have some items as secondary items and some items as primary items so that I direct my user without even talking to them about how they can navigate through a dashboard. So let's go ahead and put this as the primary point as well in addition to this one. So we'll go ahead and go to general and go to effects, we'll go to background and we'll change the color. I'll make that blue. We'll change the visual border as well. Do 7 there. All right, the title is probably going to be bold. Going to make that Arial as well. And we want to match the font size we have here so we don't have multiple font sizes. So that one's going to be 16. So I can click on this one now and just change this one to 16 as well. And if we're underlining, let's go ahead and keep it the same as well. Now we'll go to visual. We'll open up our X and then we'll change the color to black here. We'll do Arial as well. Open up the Y. Values, we'll change the color to black, Arial. Then the legend as well. Make that black. And the grid line. So right now you can't see any of the grid lines, which is not good. If we change it to white, what would that look like? Probably not that hard to tell if there's a grid line or not. So you probably want to have it a little bit darker. All right, that looks good. A little bit of a dark gray. You could change the width as well. I think that's a little bit too dark. I think 2 is actually a good one to have. And if we changed it a little bit, that might be too light. So we'll go ahead and go back here. Leave it there. And now the next one's going to be columns. So we can determine for hires and losses, since they're columns, what colors we want to make them. So hires, we'll go ahead and change that color and we'll change it to that green we had. And it automatically changes the legend color too. And then the losses. So what color do we want to make the losses? Do we want to make it some sort of red? Probably not. It just doesn't flow well, right? What if we did a white? That's probably going to be a little bit better. So we can go back to our color scheme too, over here and determine, is there another color that we want? So right now we have the primary color as a background. We have the 50% shade. And if we want a darker color or a lighter color, we can go off a tint here that we have. So maybe this one. So I'll go ahead and copy that. And then instead of the white, I'll go ahead and plug that in and see what it looks like. I think it's a little bit too off of a color. So maybe we'll go ahead and go here. And now we'll just play around with the color on exactly what we want to see. All right, so I think we just stick with the white. I think that's probably going to be the best color for this one. All right, and now we can look at the projected personnel. Do we want to change the orange color? And honestly, I think orange is probably a good fit here. And then now let's go to our data labels, and we'll just simply change the transparency here so it stands out a little bit more, similar to this one. We could also change the boldness of the legend too, but I think we'll keep that for now. And once we click off, we have the nice curved border on the edges. And I did not change the font color of this one. I think we just leave that one there as well. All right, so the next thing we have to do is work on the table. So we'll go ahead and click on this one, and we'll determine exactly what we want to see. And I think also what I'm going to do is probably make the 180-day percentage have conditional formatting to match this one, because we can see what the starting point is, and then also what we're going to have in 180 days. And you could determine if there's a growth or a decrease based upon the legend that we have here. So I'll go ahead and do that real quick. But once again, we'll go to cell elements. I'll click on 180-day percentage. I'll click on the function for it. We'll go to rules. We'll go to values only, change it to number. We're going to add 3. Then we're going to change to values and totals. We're going to make sure our fields can be based on 180 days percent. And then we're going to do 0.9 here. We're going to do 10 here. We're going to do 0.9 here. 0.75 here. 0.75. Now we don't have the color saved, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick a random color for now. And I'll go back to it and change it. All right. And then we're going to press OK. And there we have it. All right. So now let's go ahead and format this table exactly how we want it. Now tables are going to be really hard to format and present in a clean manner, simply because there's so many different attributes in it. And you can do so many different styles with it as well. So we can click on visual and click on style here. We can go minimal if we want. Bold header. Not a fan of that one. Alternating rows. I kind of like that one oftentimes. We have contrasting. Not a fan of that. Flashy rows. Bold and flashy rows, which is probably the worst one. We have sparse. And then we have condensed. Don't like that one either. So I'm going to go with alternating rows. And now I'm just going to format exactly how I want to format it, right? So I can change the background, do all that kind of stuff. We know that this is a supporting visual, so it's not going to be a primary one like this. So I'll go ahead and go to general now, go to effects, change the background color, and make that this green color that we had. Visual border, I'll go ahead and turn that on too. Change it as well. All right, make that a 7. Now we know there's not too much extra space on this side. There's not extra space too much on this side. We just have enough for a scroll bar, which is perfect. Now I'm going to go back to visual. And I don't have a title here intentionally. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. You don't always need a title, in my personal opinion, but you can always add it if you want to. All right, so column headers. What do we want to do with the column headers? All right, so column headers. We're going to change this background color. Let's see what it looks like if we had just this one. That's not actually too bad. What if we change it to this? Probably a little bit harder to see, right? We can probably leave it there. We can make the text bold if we want to. Or we can make it black. Probably not as easy to see if it's black. So we'll probably leave it at white. Change it to Arial too. And then we could center everything if we want to as well. I personally like to. And now probably bolden it once it's Arial. It's a little bit better to see. We could also change the row headers if we want to as well. Probably won't do that. All right, so now we're going to go to the row grand total. Change that background color to be the same one. All right, we got to change the font too to match it. And make that bold if we want to as well. And we just turn that on, apply to labels. There we have it. And I probably want to increase the size of the values too, just so they stand out a little bit. All right, and now the next thing I'll probably do is just work on the grid lines. You can click on grid here. You have vertical, we have horizontal, we have border options too. But we have one weird blue color here, so we probably don't want that. we can go ahead and change that color if you want. We have the green now. And then the horizontal grid lines, if we just change that to green, that's what that would look like. So if we change it to that blue color, a little bit lighter, not as harsh, right? So not too bad here. And also, if you don't want to have the conditional formatting for the cells, once again, you could always change it to just be the font too, which is completely fine. And that might not introduce as many different colors within your dashboard too. And then I'm just going to simply elevate this one so it aligns with this one here. And I'll probably make it a little bit bigger and wider and move these just to the left a little bit, just so they're centered underneath it. And lift them up as well. Think about making the callout labels a little bit smaller too and italicizing them. There we have it. We can change that to Arial as well. And then we'll go ahead and match format for these. So now we have branch and we have the roll. Now we'll go ahead and work on these. So you want to make sure that the slicers are visible clearly so that you can operate within them. So what we'll do is ensure that the color scheme matches, right? We can do a green as well if you want to, but maybe you want to point them in the direction of this as well. So we'll probably click on this. Format Painter, click on this, and do it again. All right, so right now, it doesn't blend well. Click on the drop down, it's a white background here, which is fine, but I think it's too much blue back to back, right? So you probably don't want to do that. So let's go ahead and go on the paintbrush, go to General. Now we could change this just a little bit, right? So what we want to do is make the background off. We're going to turn the visual border on. The visual border is going to be this. Maybe make the width a little bit larger. We'll go here, go to Properties, change the height. Probably to about a 60. Change the width to about a 200. And now we can go to Visual and go to Slicer Header. We'll increase the font and make it bold. We'll change it to Arial as well. Maybe italicize those and just decrease the size a little bit. Now go to Values. You can change the font color. We can make it blue if you want to. Bolden it. And then change the background of it. Make that blue properly. Or even in green. Change the font color to probably a white. And then maybe we'll go back to General. Change the visual border to this color too. And I'll probably go here, do another color of this. And now let's just decrease the size of the values. About a 9. And then background, we'll go back here again. Maybe we'll just leave it at that color. And I'll go ahead and go to General one more time. Go to Visual Border. Change the width to 1. All right, now it pops a little bit. Go to General. Let's see Effects. And we can put shadow here if we want to as well, just to make it pop. We're not going to do that though. And now we have our options here. Well, you probably don't want them bold. We're going to go back to the paintbrush. We're going to turn the bold off. And now once we click on it, we have our values. So after all that was done, I went back in. I was like, I don't really like this color, right? And that happens quite often too. And that's okay, right? That's part of the development process. So what I did was I changed the 50% shade I had to a 60%. So I'd have more of a greater contrast between my colors. And then what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to simply bring this down a little bit. I'm going to increase the size of this one. And now it kind of closes up the space a little bit that I had. And now what we want to do is insert a shape. And we want to do that for the title we have here. So we insert a shape. And we can pick whichever one we really want. I'm probably going to do a pentagon arrow here. I'll bring that over here. I'll increase the size a little bit. Just so it covers enough of the title. I'll go to Shape. We'll turn on the fill. In the border, so the border is going to be the same color, so we'll turn the fill on as well. and we'll see how that looks. We'll format this. We'll send it backwards all the way to the back. And now we have our title here. And then we're going to go ahead and turn off the background for this one. Then we'll change the font color to a white. We'll bring that over here. We'll decrease this a little bit. And there we have our title. All right, so I did it one more time. I know you guys probably think I'm crazy by now, but I changed the blue color that I had to a green. And it just didn't sit right with me fully. Maybe it didn't sit right with you either. But now I think it looks a little bit better. And I just want to continue on the shape one that I was talking about here now. I can also change the shape just by clicking on shape here and pick whichever one I want, right? So I want to go here to arrow. I want to go to chevron arrow maybe. And that one actually looks a little bit better. Pentagon arrow, be a heart, which is not going to work for this. Hexagon, probably not the best. That's not going to work either. And some of these you have to have just a larger shape. You can do a rectangle if you want, rounded rectangle, speech bubble, trapezoid, and so on. So I'm going to just keep it at what we're going to have it when I mentioned it earlier, which was chevron arrow. I do like this one. And now I'm going to play around with the background color again. This is what I usually do is I go change my colors quite often, even though I may have something as a blueprint for what I initially want to design it as from Color Picker. I'll go in here and I'll see if it actually flows. Like, does it actually work with what I'm doing here? And if it doesn't, I'll just simply change it. And that's okay, right? It's not a huge deal. But you also want to ensure that you're comfortable with the product, but also ensure that your customers and your primary people that are ingesting this are comfortable with the product too. All right, so there's no commas here for the 1,000 separators. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this again. All right, so you can see my projected personnel measures here. So I clicked on that. It's a line axis, right? So I want to make sure the 1,000 separators is on. And there we have it. All right, so now let's go into background color. And we're just going to click on the paintbrush here for the page. So we're going to make sure we're not clicked on anything here. We're going to go to canvas background. And we could change the color to whatever we want, right? So let's just say we have this color here. And we slowly bring that color in. All right, we don't want to do too much because then it'll just blend with everything, right? But maybe we want to do a little bit darker color off the bat and just introduce that too. See what that looks like. That's probably too much. So decrease that a little bit more. I think about 86% is pretty good. And what I want to do here as well is probably go to my card, my main ones that I have, and go to visual border. And I'm going to change the visual border to be that darker color for this one too, just so it stands out and pops a little bit more. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and go to my turbulence. I'm going to add a shadow. I might add a shadow on this one too. And maybe just everything. See what that looks like real quick. Yeah, that's not bad. You can also change the shadow angle to be left, top, whatever it may be. But default is going to be bottom and right. Then now it looks like everything's kind of popping on its own, right? Which is good. We have the same colors here for these two. So I like that. And now I think the only thing that we're probably missing is going to be our icon. So we're going to introduce some icons into here and then wrap up our dashboard in full. All right, so we want to introduce a few icons. But in order to introduce icons, we probably want to have space for them, right? So we're going to overlay them on the cards here, but we don't have enough space on the cards right now, which is a problem. So we have to ensure that we can accommodate the growth of the card as well. So if it goes over 1,000, we might have space right now here, but doesn't necessarily mean we're always going to have space there, right? So we want to ensure that we have the adequate space for growth and also the current state as well. So we probably want to go ahead and increase the size of our cards and then shift everything more inwards for these charts and such. So I'll go ahead and shrink this a little bit, right? We don't actually need the amount of space we have for all of this stuff. And we could also decrease and remove the months that we have here if we want to as well. And that means we have to decrease this one too. So the downside here is I remove the ability to see the 100 days. So how can we adjust for that, right? So what we can do is we could simply go ahead and go to the font and decrease the font, or we could simply drag this over, make sure it fits properly. We could change the size of this one too. But if we do that, you see how it's going to wrap the text? We don't want that. So we can also simply just go to the values and decrease the size. To decrease the size, change the font as well, and we decrease the total amount, the size, shrink the total over too, and now it looks like we have enough space to see everything. And if we wanted to as well, we can also change the title names too. So it can be less than 30 days. In this format here, we can remove the percentage sign, which also removes an extra space. It decreases the width as well. So that's just another way to do it. So I'll go ahead and simulate that for you. So if I go here, and I simply just change the value here, less than 30 days. And now we just bought some space. Now, even though it's only one character space that we're buying, it still does quite a lot in the grand scheme of things. As you can see here, now we can see everything, and we have no horizontal scroll bar as well. All right, so now that we have that, we can go ahead and just increase the size of these cards here. And this one's going to be a little bit smaller. And I'm going to go ahead and just format Painter for all of these. So I try to format Painter, and Format Painter does not do it for dimensions as well. So we'll just have to do it the hard way, which is fine. You can also copy them all and then just change it within properties, but it's only 3, so it's not too bad, right? We'll go ahead and click on all these now. We'll just center them. And now we know this one has enough space for icon, but these ones actually don't, right? Because you can see the authorized number, there's not enough space on the left-hand side, which is where I'm going to insert the image. So I'm going to decrease the size here. And that's probably a good size there, 26. And I'm going to increase this one actually, because we have more space here. And that's just standing out even more now. And now I want to simply increase this one too. We want to take some space from here if we can. And we're able to. Can now go ahead and shift this over to, and to align it, I'll align this one as well. And now we have space. So we're going to go ahead and format this one to that, and format this one as well. And I'm actually going to shift these items a little bit to the left. We'll increase this one just a little bit. We have a little bit of space there. All right, and there we have it. And then before we go to icons, we're going to go ahead and adjust all the other options that we have here real quick, just so they match everything that we have. So if we see turbulence, we're just going to simply go here to attrition reason. I'm going to format Painter. And I'm going to go here. And then now we have too large of a title. We're just going to decrease the size of the title just a little bit. And I'm going to remove the underline. I don't need the underline here. And I can probably remove the by gender. So I just could put losses here because I think we already know we're clicking on attrition. So by virtue, it is losses. I'm going to format that one here too. And we're going to change the title here as well. We're going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to copy this one again as well. And then we're going to change the title as well. And then for attrition detail, I'm going to do this table here. I'm going to format here. Attrition detail, and I'm going to click on this one. And I just have to turn the title back on now. And we'll go ahead and make that bold. We'll go ahead and center that. We can make that Arial, make that white. Or we can make it this color if we want to as well. Or white, it doesn't matter. I think we'll go with this color, make it underline. And now we'll format that, put that over here. Format that one too, put that here. And same thing, we'll go here to current and put that here as well. And now when we hover over something, we see the exact difference between the two. But you can see they're like little different cards, right, between them both. And you can see that there's a difference between them because there's a space, right? There's like a little line, and then you can see the rounded chart. Don't really want that, so I don't like that too much. So I'm going to go here, visual border. I'm going to go ahead and turn that rounded corners off all the way, and I'm going to make the border a different color. And now I'm going to format that and put that over here too. Now if we go back here, we click on it. Now we can see the difference between the two. Now the green doesn't blend too well when you're looking at this, so maybe we'll do white. So let's go here, go back to general, visual border, and we'll change it to white. Format that. And now if I click on it, a little bit better. And we probably want to update that for this one as well. So I'll go ahead and format painter here, same thing, and there we have it. And we can still do all our drill throughs, so current, and we have our drill through or personnel here. We can also sort them by name, so they're pre-formatted the way we want it. If I click on my workforce now, drill through, current, it's always going to be sorting by A to Z. Okay, so now we're going to incorporate icons. So I want an icon for workforce analysis on the left-hand side here. I want an icon for employees, authorized, all these different KPIs that we have here. And I think that'll be it. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total. So let's go ahead and find 8 different icons that work for us in this format. We also want to ensure that we have the right colors too. So I want to have one that has the dark green color we have here for this card, but the rest are going to be this color for all these other cards. We just have that contrast too. And it kind of flows well with the color scheme that we have going on too. We could also make it white as well if we want to here, but the downside is it's going to be too much white next to each other. We don't want that. All right, so we're going to go to icons8.com and we're just going to search exactly what we want. So the first thing we're going to put is workforce. And we can just search that and see exactly what comes up. So what we're going to do is click on recolor, and we're just going to input exactly what we want. And once we do that, press enter, and it's going to run everything and provide us different icons for that color. But we're going to just click on one that we think works best for us. I like this one, right? So this is going to be your company kind of hierarchy structure. We could download that. So go ahead and click on download. All right, so once we click on download, we're going to see an option to have the pixel size. So this one's going to be free. So I'm going to click on that one, click on download. All right, so we're now back in Power BI. So you can save it wherever you want. And we're going to go to insert. And I just want to test the first one that we brought in. So go ahead and go and find where your images are. And then once you have it here, I'm going to go ahead and decrease the size. I'm just going to bring it up here, align it, and there we have it. Just a little image that makes everything pop a little bit more. All right, so we're going to repeat the same process for everything else. We'll bring in our images. All right, so once you have all your images loaded, folks, this is exactly what it's going to look like. So I have my org structure here for my workforce analysis title. I have my employees. I have authorized, so a check mark here. For inventory and total, I have just a building warehouse with some boxes. I have males, females. I have total hires. And then I have a downwards arrow for total losses. So this is it, folks. This is the entire dashboard. So this answers all the questions that were asked of us, right? It has gaps in teams. It has turbulence, so gains and losses over time over the next 180 days. What kinds of losses, males and females, that breakdown we have for losses and hires. And then we also have drill through, so we can see current losses and hires as well. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and publish this. And I'm going to publish it to Nexion Analytics. I'm going to select it. All right, and then we're going to log into Power BI Service and view the report from there. All right, so once we're in Power BI, we're going to go ahead and go to Workspaces. Click on your workspace, and we're going to select the report. And now what I want to do is validate the interactivity, right? So this is going to be what the end user utilizes. So I'll go ahead and just click on a slicer, for instance, make sure everything worked properly. We have Austin selected here only, which is good. We have the losses and hires split up by the months as well that we wanted. We have the attrition reason. We can also select those. It's all interactive. And then let's go ahead and click on the drill through. So we have total for data analyst. I'm going to click on that and click on current. And now we have the by name list there too. All right, so it looks like everything works well, folks. You always want to ensure that you're testing your product thoroughly before you introduce it to somebody else or promote it or certify it as well. With that said, I know I covered a lot in this series, whether you watched the videos one at a time or you watch the whole video in its entirety from start to finish. Either way is awesome, but I hope that it helps you. And if you didn't like something or you like something, let me know, leave a comment down below, share your thoughts. And with that said, thanks for watching.